What's good, new types? This is Gabriel from Lockout Games, and today I'm going to be giving you the deck list for my green-blue Oz Shenlong mid-range deck that I've been taking to locals. I've run it in 2 different tournaments, and so far it's done 3-1, so that's been pretty fun. I really think that a lot of the cards in here are kind of underrated, or at least maybe getting overshadowed by some of the more popular and more flashy cards, but I think with some good play and a decent amount of strategy, it is able to take a lot of games against some pretty heavy hitters in the meta right now. So with that said, let's start looking at the units. Starting off our unit count, we're going to go straight to the level 2s, as I'm not playing any level 1s in this deck. So with our first unit, we have Aries. I'm only running 2, mostly because it's just kind of nice to have a blocker every now and then. Really, it's there to just offset some of the big attacks, maybe the 5 or the 6 APs that come in that don't have breach or anything, to just disrupt the opponent for one turn and maybe put a little bit of damage on something so that I can maybe counterattack. Next, we have 4 of the Leos. I really like this card. One, it's cool looking, but it's a 2/2 for 2 on a decent, statted body. But what really helps this card stand out is the fact that it can link with any Oz trait. Currently in the game in GD01, we only have Zechs Merquise and Noin. So looking to get more pilots hopefully in the future, but trust me, with just those 2, it's able to do a lot of work. And then lastly, we have 4 of the Zaku Ⅱs. I absolutely love this card. When it attacks, it actually gains 2 AP, so it's normally swinging for 3. In the early game, it's able to take out an EX base, and this is really important because it kind of sets the pace for the rest of the game, and it puts your opponent on the back foot. I actually like starting off first so that I can play 2 of these on turn 2 if I get a chance and have a really busted opening hand, and that represents 6 damage on the board on turn 3 that they have to deal with. Otherwise they're going to start losing bases or getting trades into some of their blockers or maybe even some of their bigger units and just losing to a level 2. And then one important thing to note with this is that I've seen a lot of meta decks playing the 0-6 bases, so with just 2 level 2 Zakus, you're able to take those out and not really have to worry about any counterattacks. With the level 2s out of the way, we're going to start looking at the level 3s. Starting off our level 3s, we have 3 Rick Doms. So you'll see that once we start moving into the mid-range of this deck, a lot of the things are going to have breach. I tried to kind of stick to what the starter deck was doing, and honestly, breach is a great keyword as you're really wanting to attack and counterattack mostly with this deck. So the Rick Dom has a 3/3 stat line, which is really good, and that's going to pair well with the Chang Wufei. That's going to help it not take damage and then give it 5 attack and then 1 more extra HP. So we're looking at a 5/4 with breach 2, which is a very good card in my opinion, and it only costs 2 to play. For another one of our Oz cards, we have 3 of Noin's Aries. I absolutely love this card. The amount of card draw and advantage it has gotten me over the course of a game has been amazing. It does link only with Noin, but that's okay because its other effect is or the main effect that it has is when it's destroyed and there is another Oz unit on the field, you just get to draw a card. So whether or not you trade up with something, whether it's a 3/2 blocker or maybe a 2/3 unit that is already swung in, or one of my favorite tactics is to play it out, link it with its pilot, and then swing into a base or a shield, and then when they swing back, unless their math works out perfectly and there's not any other Oz units on the field, I just get to draw a card and normally trade because it's a 3/3. So really great card. I'm running it at 3 mostly because the cost for it is 3 resources, and one of the other themes for this deck is that you want to go wide and play a decent amount of cards as the game progresses so that you overwhelm your opponent. And then lastly, we have Zechs Leo. The ability, when paired, choose one enemy unit with 3 or less HP and rest it. This is going to help tap down a lot of those units that your opponent is either waiting to block with, or they're trying to keep safe in the back row until they maybe can put a pilot on it, or buff it with something else. So with a 3-2 stat line, it's going to trade up, especially when it's linked with any other Oz trait unit. Zechs Merquise turns this into a 5-3, which swings very well and trades up with other units. So those are the level 3s that I have. Now we're going to take a look at the level 4s. With the level 4s, it's actually going to be very simple. I'm just running 3 Shenlong Gundam. So it's a 4-3 body. You play it for 3 on turn 4, and then it links with Chang Wufei, which, as I mentioned earlier, that Breach 3 is just amazing, and it's going to go great with the Chang Wufei. So this is, once again, a Breach mid-range deck where you're constantly trying to counterattack the opponent and chip away at their base, or just completely remove a shield while you're either getting an advantageous trade or maybe not even trading at all, because it might not take damage, especially if it's paired with the Chang Wufei. So moving on from the level 4s, we're going to go straight into the level 5s. I am running 3 of the Shenlong Gundams. First off, I want to say that this art is just amazing. I absolutely love it. But this card has Breach 4, and then when it attacks, you can choose one enemy unit that's level 3 or lower with blocker, and you just get to destroy it. You don't need to pair, it doesn't need to be linked. This is just an ability that you can use whenever it attacks, and right now with white-blue blockers being a thing, it has a lot of reach and swings up very well. You pair this with a Chang Wufei, or correction, you link it with a Chang Wufei, and now it's a 6-5 that doesn't take damage from a 3 or lower, and it is just absolutely devastating. I love this card. Normally when your opponent sees it, they feel that they have to take it off the field, and I promise if it stays on the board for 2 turns, it is going to be quite devastating and really swing the battle in your favor. For the last level 5 that we have, you know who it has to be. It is Tallgeese. I think this card is incredibly underrated for the ability that it has, especially in the late game when you have a surplus of resources. Being able to once per turn activate itself for 4 is amazing, especially if you've been chipping away at your opponent with breach cards throughout the whole battle, and maybe they only have 2, 1, or finally not having any shields after a big alpha attack, and you just unsuspend it to go for game. I love this card. When it's paired with Zechs, the effect is amazing, as you're going to get to draw a card. Many times you're able to make the math work in your favor, where you swing into something, draw a card, only take 4 damage, and then unsuspend it, swing into another unit, take that out, draw another card, and you've essentially gained 2 cards, taken out 2 units, and it really does just change up the math for your opponent. With the units out of the way, we're going to take a look at the pilots. First up for the pilots, we have the flagship character himself, Zechs Merquise. He is a level 5 1-drop pilot that has 2+ AP and then 1+ HP. And then during Link, whenever this unit destroys an enemy unit with battle damage, you get to draw 1 card. An important thing to remember that this is not once per turn, it's just during the link. So if you link him with Tallgeese, swing in and take out a unit, unsuspend and take out another one, that's 2 cards that you've got, and you've gotten rid of 2 units on the board. He's really cool. I absolutely love the art. And he really makes the deck scary, as he's also able to link with essentially any of the Leos. For the second pilot that we play 4 of the Chang Wufei, another 2-1 pilot. However, he's only level 4, so you don't have to play him at level 5, so you can get him out pretty early into the game. And then his ability is, during your turn, while this unit has Breach, it can't receive battle damage from enemy units with 3 or less AP. So this is where you're going to really get that advantage against your opponents when I talk about counterattacking, because you're going to set it up to where you're not going to take any damage, and you're normally going to either breach 2, 3, or 4 on your opponent and really set them on the back foot to where they have to deal with whatever level 4 or 5 you have on the board. Finally, for the pilots, we are playing 3 Lucrezia Noins. She's also a command that works main or active phase. Choose one friendly unit or link unit, and then it recovers 3 HP. This can be really tricky, especially with the Zechs or the Chang Wufei, where your opponent finally thinks, okay, cool, you may have counterattacked against them, and now they're looking to take that unit off the board, and they're looking to either stack damage or swing it with 2 different units, and you heal up for 3 and completely throw their math off. She also, once again, links with her Aries. That's going to make it a 3-3 and be able to swing that the turn that you play it. With the pilots out of the way, let's take a look at the commands. For the commands, I'm playing 2 Show of Resolves. This card is just good. You're able to draw 2 cards. I have noticed with this deck between Zechs Merquise and Noin's Aries, it does have some innate draw power into it, so that's why I'm not running 3 or 4. I feel like you're able to save some space in the deck and naturally draw some cards with the abilities that you have. For a little bit of ramp, we are running 2 First Contact. I do like this card because Tallgeese benefits greatly from being ahead with your resources, as getting that 4 to unsuspend and then maybe attack again or just keep Tallgeese safe is pretty important. And then it does fill a secondary role of ramping you up to 6 or 7 so that towards the end of the game or the middle of the game you're able to just play out multiple 2-cost units and start swarming the board after you've done some early damage to your opponent. Finally, I am playing 2 Citizens Take a Stand. This card is, to me, just busted. It only costs 1 to play, however it gives all units on the field when you play it plus 2 AP. I can't tell you how many times I've had a board full of 1-1s or 2-2s, and my opponents have had some 5-6s or 4-5s that are, you know, normally going to be really hard to fight against. I play this and now I have an army of 3-1s, sometimes even 5-1s if you're playing the Zaku, and they just have to do a whole bunch of math. And I like to say, you know, the math is for the blocker to figure out, and I swing out and they have to figure out whether or not that kills them, and it normally works. It is an amazing card, and that's why I run it at 2 of, especially since you can see it from your shields because it does have a burst effect. So those are the 6 commands that I'm playing. Finally, we'll move on to the bases. For the bases, I'm playing 3 Corsica base. This is great because it curves out on turn 3 very well. On your turn, you get a 4-2 Tallgeese the very first time you play it, and then any time you play it after that, if there is a Corsica base in the trash, you get 2 1-1 Leos. Now, their power isn't great by themselves, however, when paired with Citizens Take a Stand, they are amazing because they're swinging for 3-1, or you just need more bodies at some point to swing against shields and then just whittle down your opponent. Some of the best turns I've had with this is 1 Corsica base being in my shields and then playing 1 from my hand, followed by that getting destroyed and then playing another one the turn afterwards and just completely flooding the board and then swinging for way higher than I should have been with Citizens Take a Stand. For the last base that I'm playing 2 St. Gabriel's Institute. I use this mostly to deck fix and just get rid of maybe some cards that I don't need, especially if I'm able to play this on turn 2, and really start reaching for the pilots if I don't have any in the hands, or my level 5 so that I can set myself up for later turns. I like this card a lot, and only running 2 because I think 5 bases for this deck is perfect. Taking a quick look at potential cards that could be teched in or replaced with other cards, we have Siege Ploy, which I like because it is very modular, being either a card you can use for attack or defense. Its main/action effect is that you can choose one enemy unit with 5 or less HP and just rest it. So if you're on the attack, you're able to get rid of some blockers that may be annoying and then swing into the shields directly or the base. Or if you're using it defensively, after your opponent has declared 1 attacker, maybe you tap down their other attacker that would be doing more damage or completely taking out the rest of your base, throwing off their math. So I do like this. If I was going to switch out a card, it would probably be First Contact, just because First Contact can be a little bit slow sometimes. A second command that I would consider maybe running in this deck is Recedes Orders. This pairs amazingly with Tallgeese, as you can pick one level 4 or higher unit that you have, and it's able to attack directly into a non-suspended AP 6 or less unit on your opponent's side of the field. So with Tallgeese paired with this, you're able to really just get the most advantage out of your Zechs Merquise and hopefully crippling 2 of your opponent's unit cards and just deleting them off the field while you're able to draw cards. And then worst comes to worst, it is a +1 HP pilot that you can put on either like a Rick Dom or a Leo, making it a 2-3 or a 3-4, or even pairing it with the Zechs Leo, making it a 3-3 and then suspending down a 3 or less HP unit. Finally, for another command, we have simultaneous fire. So I would run this, but I would run it with heavy arms, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But the Breach 3 on Tallgeese, once again, is really good, especially if you're able to swing into 2 different units and keep Tallgeese alive. Paired with your Zechs, you're now gaining a lot of advantage from 1 unit. This is kind of a big combo where you kind of have to have multiple pieces aligned to make it work. However, it is pretty good, and your opponents might not see it coming. Once again, Troll Barton can also be used as a pilot, just giving +1/1 to a unit, so that's not bad in of itself. If I was to run Troll Barton, I would also run either the Gundam Heavy Arms, the level 5, because the pair for this just does 1 damage to every level 3 or lower when you take out a unit. So once again, really good on the counterattack. And it is a little bit beefier on the HP side, so it's a 3-4. When linked with Troll Barton, it's going to be a 4-5 and able to sustain a little bit longer. But what I would most likely do is run the level 4 Gundam Heavy Arms. So it's still a 3-4, but this one has Breach 3. And what's really cool about this is it's during pair, so it doesn't have to specifically be linked to Troa. So any sort of Zechs Merquise or Lucretia Noin works with this. But that's what I would go for if I was running simultaneous fire. You could switch out some of the Shenlongs for this, but at that point you're kind of changing a little bit of the core of the deck. So it's up to you, but if somebody does try it, please let me know. I'd be interested to see how it works. So here is one final look at the deck, all splayed out so you can see all of the cards at once. If you have any questions about the deck, feel free to leave a comment below, and then I'll get back to answering that as soon as possible. Or if you think you know some improvements for the deck and would like to talk about some variations, I'd love to do that too. If you do take the deck out to your locals and try it out, come back, let me know how it worked out. I'm very interested. I really want to see Tallgeese do well. It is one of my favorite mobile suits. It just has such a cool design, so I'm interested in making this card work as well because I think it's very good and has some pretty good matchups out there. Hopefully you enjoyed the deck list. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that you can get those constant updates on any other deck list or gameplay videos I have of any decks that I make and then put on the channel. Well, with all that being said, I'm looking forward to your debrief, and I'll see you out there, new type.